One more time, just because it's funny. Let me see if I can close up on this. Let me see. There's a way to do it. Come on, Boomer. Oh, there we go. Of course, it looks like shit through here, but you can see the moon. It's not fully formed. It's about a half a moon. And just now, it's gotten to a point where you can see through it anymore. It's become more solid. But earlier when I was doing the video, I highlighted the moon because it was at a stage where you can see straight through it. You can see through it. You can see the other side. You can see the sky on the other side. It's blue. It's like a light is forming in the sky because that's what's happening. But modern science boys will tell you that that's a solid object that you can set foot on. It's always weird too in those moon pictures when they're on the surface. It's not glowing. It's dusty. And the earth is always this little, it's just, none of it makes sense. None of it mathematically makes sense. I don't care. You know, you can always find people on the internet to argue with you about that. You know, because people get really butthurt about that. I've gotten into fights over that. I had a friend knock me out for that shit. Cheap shot at me too. He was talking about Mars. This is like, I don't know, 4 years ago. And he was going on about colonizing Mars. You're gonna colonize Mars, dude. I'm like, dude. I'm like, so I would never say anything to him about it. Usually, I don't show him. You have your power level all the time, you know? You have to. I would never suggest anyone try to reach some people. And I was like, dude, there is no Mars. You're not going to settle on Mars. It's all fantasy. He got so mad that he wanted, well, say that to me outside. So I'm like, all right, let's go talk about this outside. I didn't think we were actually going to throw hands. So I get up behind him and I'm walking on McDonald's. I take my cigarettes out and I go to take one out, the pack, because I think we're just going to go out and have smokes. I've known this guy for years. So we go outside and I stop in the doorway of McDonald's going out and I start pulling my cigarette out. Next thing I know, I'm being picked up off the floor. As I was looking down at the pack to take it out, as I was walking out, he just punched me in the face and knocked me out, you know? For a minute, I got knocked out. Not the first time I've been knocked out. I'm very knockoutable. I've had women knock me out, you know? It doesn't feel good, but I have a bit of a glass face. So a few kids helped me out. And I look out and I'm like, what the fuck? And I just see a cloud of dust. He's a pretty big guy. He's heavy set, you know. And look down the street, and he's like waddle running down the street, like. Dip, 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 dip. So I'm like, oh man, you know, I feel bad, right? So I'm like, I flip this switch. So I'm like, dude. And I start, you know, walking after him fast. He looks back and thinks I'm coming for him. I'm not. I'm just trying to catch up with him and say, sorry, man. I didn't mean to trigger you like that. So now he starts waddle running quicker. I'm afraid this guy's going to have a heart attack. He's a big guy and he's constantly popping pills. He takes a lot of morphine, takes a lot of Xanax. He's always buying footballs. So I'm like, this motherfucker's gonna die. So I let him run, and I caught up with him later. And it's funny, for a while, every time we were hanging out, or I'd see him somewhere, when I'd approach him, he'd give me this look, like this like fear look, like is this going to be a fight or something? And he'd kind of try to square his fat little body up. And I'd be like, dude, hey, how's it going? I'd never bring it out to him, you know. But it goes to show how triggered people can get about this stuff. I mean, if you were to ask someone, hey, why can you see through the moon? You know, I thought it was supposed to be something I thought it was supposed to be a solid object. Never mind, that's not how light works at all on a solid object, but whatever. People would just, you know, they'd think you're nuts. First they laugh at you. You know, they make fun of you. Oh, you're crazy. Then they get angry. That's the Agent Smith thing coming out. the system says, protect the system, protect the system. And then there's the anger and the violence. The third stage is just complete marginalization. You're excommunicated from any kind of discussion. Your input is meaningless. You're just a crazy person. That's how it works. It took me years to couple of years, to kind of figure out that being a truth missionary or whatever is a waste of time. You know, it'll just get you ridiculed, marginalized, and it might get you sucker punched in the doorway of McDonald's while you're reaching for a cigarette. All things to try to avoid. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.